Hip-Hop Grinch is a live Christmas musical written and produced by North Charleston City Councilman and soul and R&B artist Michael Brown Jr. I talk one-on-one with Michael about this live musical that's coming up this weekend for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Councilman Mike Brown, like I always say, Mike Brown Jr. Jr.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Oh, it's great being back, man. Always a pleasure.
I appreciate it greatly. I know that you contacted me a couple of months ago prior to me doing an interview with you about running for North Charleston City Council, which you will be sworn in on January 2nd. But you wanted to talk to me about an upcoming musical that's coming here to Charleston on December 9th. And it's really about the Grinch retold, told through a lens of church hurt. It's completely different than the original, as you say, and will definitely lead souls to Christ. So let me ask you this, Mr. Mike. Why this musical? Why Charleston?
Man, so the Grinch, first thing, I can watch that movie during the summer. I can watch that movie any time of year. When I tell you, it's such a comfort place for me. And I don't know where to begin. I always try to think about, certain songs and certain things remind you of certain, and I haven't figured out what the Grinch means to me yet, but it means something crazy to me. I don't understand how it resonates so heavy. And then the older I got, I realized the story itself connected to me heavily. I've always felt like an outcast in many different rooms because me growing up in church and then playing sports in an area where being a church boy wasn't cool. I got bullied for knowing how to sing, just for little things. And it kind of made me become this angry young teenager, but no one knew I was angry. I was quiet all the time and no one could tell, not even my parents. And then one day I just kind of flipped and it was like, well, where did this begin? And it wasn't until really a few days ago that I realized that this story resonates with me because of, the things I've been through in life. And even now, me being an adult, it's almost like me being in the music industry in Charleston, it's almost like I don't have a place to fit in. And I've literally had to create all of my own lanes, everything that and I thank God for that, honestly, because sometimes being isolated allows you to create on your own lane, so I'm grateful for it. But yes, the Grinch, that's where the Grinch stemmed from. It stemmed from it actually being a story about me. And the church hurt aspect, I don't personally resonate with being church hurt, but I have so many friends who have turned away from God and have turned away from God because of how people in church have hurt them. So connecting it to the story with the Grinch, he hates Christmas because of the people in this town. And it's like this connection that seems so far away, but it's really the same thing. And he allowed them to turn his heart into a cold place. And allowing a person to do that to you when they didn't create you, when they didn't give you life, it's only taking life away from you. So I'm hoping that this musical, honestly, helps those who judge the people who are different and help those who have been hurt. It's holding everyone accountable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, how is your heart now that you have actually changed and, went through all of these, obstacles?
Oh man, that's free. I feel so free. And I can say that happened to me when I went to college, when I moved away, went to Columbia and found myself, like I said, no one really could tell that I was, harboring this, resentment towards a lot of even people who I grew up calling friends. I would always end up being the butt of a joke. And I would know that I knew that it was intentional. I knew that it was, not because people actually didn't think I was good at things or not, but it was like to make me feel smaller. And I literally put myself in this place in life for years where I would walk into a room and make myself smaller on purpose, just so people could feel comfortable being around me.
Whoa.
So when I went off to school, meeting new people and who don't know me, from Columbia, and I didn't have to do that anymore. And I realized, I was like, wow, back at home, I had to, do this. And when I came back recently, it was the same thing for a while. But now I'm approaching it with a clear mind. So I'm understanding what it is. I'm understanding that it's not me. It's not personal. It's some people aren't secure in themselves. And with that, I have to still love them through that. I have to still be an example. And even with this musical, man, I asked God, I said, why me? Why and why the Grinch? Like, why did you use, like, why a Christmas story? Why couldn't it be something deeper? Right? Why? And he said, because I wanted to use something simple, because I'm much more simple than people make me. And he was showing me, like, access to him isn't this crazy thing. It's not this thing you don't have to be saved for 15,000 years. You don't have to pray 5 times a day. It's literally a heart decision, a heart change that you decide. And if you don't decide it, your heart will remain where it is, wherever that could be.
Wow. So, what clear mind, Mr. Mike, do you have now about the church? And what's your clear mind when it comes to music?
Yes. My clear mind now. So a year before I wrote this musical, which is crazy, God told me to stop making music. And I was like, what? Like, this was at a peak where I have never touched. Like, doors were opening that I had never went. I had record offer deals, and so many things were happening. And I was like, you want me to stop making music now? And we often have to learn things the hard way. So I didn't really listen. All of a sudden, man, I get hit with this illness. And I don't even know I don't know what it was. I lost 36 pounds in 10 days, and I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't even drink water. It was so difficult. So, I ended up one night, I couldn't really feel my legs. I was pulling my hair, couldn't feel anything. My fiance took me to the hospital, and, they couldn't find anything wrong with me. So I was like, okay, I hear you. And coincidentally, I broke my laptop, everything. My microphone got broken. I couldn't do anything for a year. So I was like, okay, what do you want? What do you want? And I sat down, and top of the year, the next month, started writing the script. And, I was just like, okay. Then I got on the piano again, and I started writing songs from scratch, because now we're in like a technology, time period. So everything can kind of be made, orchestrated overnight. But I started writing songs from the piano again, just like not recording them, just in voice memos. And now these songs are now a part of the musical. And these were things made from scratch. So now I realize that, and it was never that I was putting out music that wasn't, that didn't hold substance. But I realize now my audience is a specific group of people. And yes, it's for those who love God, of course, but it's for the atheists. It's for the people who've never seen him. It's for the people who've been hurt, for the people who've been judged. He wanted me to be able to answer my calling so that I could send out the message that needed to be said. Like, instead of just saying anything, because I never made songs that, like I said, never talking about anything crazy. But if I'm going, if I wanted to be elevated to the platform that I always knew I should be, I have to talk about the things that God wanted to use me to talk about. And not sadly, but for me, my calling is the people who are the broken, the sick, the girls who feel like they have to go do certain things to make money, or the guys who feel like they got to go do certain things to make money, and this was something like, and I realized at first with my friends and family, I'm like, whoa, this is where it begins. And then once I started kind of letting them hear the songs, and they were like, dude, this is something way bigger. So this musical, man, it's such a, I can't even explain it. The soundtrack, if you heard it, you wouldn't even know it's about Christmas, but right. I kind of I play on Christ. Yes. Like in Christmas. So I kind of, certain songs I have, one song is Hello World. It's talking about the Grinch's demons and how they're afraid of Christmas, but Christ, and how they every time he wants to change, they kind of give him a reason to stay the same, and something will pop up. Anytime he wants to be better, something else will happen. Someone else, a person will do something, and if you allow people to alter your spirit, you'll only be hurting yourself.
Wow. Okay, Mr. Michael, let me ask you this. When you were
Yeah.
writing the musical, what obstacles were trying to stop you from writing this musical and the soundtrack?
Oh man, dude. So first thing, like I said, instantly I get sick. This illness out of the blue. Me and my fiance, we took some time up. Like things were happening. We took some time apart. And then I ended up having a baby on the way out of the blue. And then on top of that, I I originally dropped out. Well, I didn't drop out of school. I left school because I started working, and I was like, I wanted to chase money. I wanted to live a life, live a good life, and I was like, I'm tired of doing this art stuff because it's not paying me like I need to get paid, and I want to live this. I want to drive that, and I want to do this. And I'm watching all my friends and people live these good lives, and I'm like, you know what? I deserve this. This is what I want to do. So I started. I got a regular job. I started. I started. Uh, I lost my creativity. Like I became uh, something that I never wanted to become. I became. I don't want to call it a robot because that is not everyone's situation. But I feel like for those who know their calling and choose to go another route for something, you've become a robot. You've become something that's being used by something to get something else. So now I'm not living a purposeful life at that point. Now it's like I'm lived to live, to maintain, to enjoy for now. I'm not thinking about 5 years from now. I'm not thinking about what I want to leave behind. And that's normally, even since I was younger, I always knew that I don't want to say I'd be something greater, but I always knew that I would serve a purpose in people's lives that most people, wouldn't try to reach. And for me, for a lot of people, they say, isn't that a lot of pressure? Wouldn't that feel like, you feeling like the lives of others are in your hands? And I said, it's natural to me. It doesn't feel like pressure because it actually pushes me harder to actually live righteous. If I know that me chasing my dreams, pursuing my purpose, living righteous, will help my sister. Her seeing me, that gives me even more motivation to do it. So instead of me feeling like, if I mess up, then they're gonna mess up. No, it's like if I do great, they're watching me. So which means it's just such a so now that I'm able to, I went through a time period where I cut everybody off. I didn't want to talk to them, didn't want to talk to my sisters, didn't want to talk to my parents, didn't want to talk to anybody because I felt like everything that I did was in vain. I felt like all the years that I went hard for everybody, it felt like I didn't have anybody. No one was there for me like I needed them. And I'm not saying, people shouldn't sit in those moments to, acknowledge it, but you should never ever sit in those moments long. Like you can acknowledge it for a minute and say, hey, no one's been there for me. But if you stay there, you'll pick up a victim mentality and only hurt yourself. So I definitely went through a phase of that. And when I was able to finally acknowledge where I was and where I wanted to go and what I needed to say, I no longer was you. Like everything when I tell you, man, like I didn't even try to write a song, and all of a sudden, the day I feel like it was literally the same exact day. It was like a day that I mentally decided I was going to be free. And then all of a sudden, I wrote this song called "I Deserve to Be Free." And then I wrote this. And these songs. It just came out of me out of the blue, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when exactly? This is a silly, redundant question, but when did exactly? Well, first I want to ask you, how long did you sit in that moment?
About 6 months, a minute. And I mean, I was going through cycles. Might have been longer than that. It might have even been longer than that. This was right after I got better, out of my, sickness.
Wow.
At first I was, on fire for God, going hard. But then I started realizing like, none of y'all were here when I was sick. None of y'all checked on me. Nobody gave me this. Nobody asked about this. Y'all only want to keep using me now that I'm better. Now y'all want me to perform here. You want me to perform there. You want me to host this. You want me to host that. Y'all don't really care about me personally. Y'all just want my gifts. Y'all just want what I have to offer. So you know what? I'm not giving anything else to y'all. But who am I to take away something God gave me? I can't take away, and And that was the point when I realized it's so much bigger than my personal emotions and how I feel in the moment. And now that I see life in the spectrum of everything I do is for the next person.
Yes, sir.
And then that opened the door for me even running for city council. Like that wasn't something that I was going to do this year at all. Like it was not something I had predestined or planned.
Wow.
But I've always been a servant. So when it connected spiritually, it literally was just an opportunity that opened. And I was like, and I don't move on things quickly. I don't do anything because someone else is doing it. Like when I tell you, I've thought more reasons why I shouldn't run than I should. And that's me. I think like, no, I'm not going to run because of this. No, they're not ready for that. They're not ready for the honesty yet. They're not ready for and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I talked to my fiance and she's very much spiritually inclined. And neither one of us jumped quick on things. And she said, Mike, why not? And I was like, everything I was saying was fair of me feeling abandoned again or feeling like I'll lose because I won't have the support of people because, I've always felt that way. But when I realized that, God told me that I'm not in a race where I'm running anymore. I'm leaping. So I'll sit still until it's time to move. And then I'll take these big giant leaps. And then I'll sit still again. And then so he's like, trust me with these faith moves. So with this musical, man, if I be transparent completely with you,
yes,
I'll be complete. God told me to quit my job right when I started this, right when my daughter was born. And that was the job that I got that I said I was making good money. And I was like, oh my God, I'm paying $1,800 rent just to live in a 2-bedroom apartment. And I got to quit my job. What's going on? Then my father all of a sudden texted me one day randomly, Mike, I don't know why I'm feeling this, but I feel like you need to stop. You shouldn't work at that job as hard as you're working right now. Something's telling me to tell you to put your time into your gifts, put your time into the things that you know.
Now, Mr. Mike, how can we get more information about the musical? Where is it going to be and how long will it be?
So the musical, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook at the Hip-Hop Grinch. It's literally coincidentally we're the first people to do a Hip-Hop Grinch. So it should be the only Instagram page you'll see, the only Facebook page you'll see. The musical will be held at the high school I graduated from, Fort Dorchester High School, which is also in my district.
Yes.
In North Charleston as well. So this is going to be great. It starts doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7:30.
Oh, perfect. Well, Councilman Mike Brown Jr., thank you for your time here on Quintin's Close-Ups, and I hope to bring you back on in 2024 so we can talk about the other job, which is politics.
Yes, we will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.